So thank you very much, BJV Pipes, for joining me this evening. Chris.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure, my honor. It's great to have, I like to have pipe makers on the channel, obviously, and someone as skilled as yourself who has popped up. I couldn't miss the opportunity, so thank you. First of all, I'll ask you what you're smoking, please, if you'll tell us.
Solani Silver Flake.
Nice.
So, as you know, bit of a departure from me. You seem to be proper branching out, don't I? Because this is Virginia and Kentucky, innit? And I'm usually a Virginia vapor guy. So
I've never seen one tin as big as that.
I know, it's ridiculous. And the tins are rubbish, aren't they? I mean, have you had it? Have you had the Silver Flake?
No, I haven't had it.
Right.
Yet.
Well, I'll send you some up when I send you some gear up. But it's like the tin it's not. It hasn't got a seal on it. It's just like a tin with no seal, and then you get a bag inside, which isn't sealed very good at all.
Right.
And it's like 100 grams. So if you're not like smoking it all the time, or going to cellar it, or put it in a jar, it's like it's pointless in that tin. I mean, everyone does, obviously, don't they? Everyone's just going to shove it in a jar, but it's like no one else does it.
No, you would think they would spend a bit of money. I mean, it is salami as well. It's a premium product,
All the other products are fantastic. So
yeah,
bit of a strange one. I mean, it is a nice tin, but yeah.
Have you had their aged Burley Flake?
When I first started, I had it and didn't get on with it really. Wouldn't say I didn't like it, but didn't get on with it because I think I was still sort of like a bit aromatic-y then. So I started off on Hobbit Swede, which is obviously the famous cherry one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I smoked that for quite a while because I was coming from cigars, and it was like a bit of a pipe smoking was just a novelty at that time. But like I'm in a dessert, you know, after a cigar.
Yeah.
We'd have a little meeting in Huddersfield with some cigar guys. We'd all smoke cigars or have a cigar, and then we'd get the pipes out. And I classed it as like a little bit of a novelty, a dessert. And I wasn't really into it. I was into the cigars.
Yeah. No, I notice a lot on your channel. Cobs, what was it? Cobs and Cubans.
Cobs and Cubans, yeah.
You would often do that as well. You'd have a cigar and then finish with a pipe with maybe a little bit of something sweeter. But that makes perfect sense. I mean, that's what it was to a lot of people. You know, what attracts people to the pipe is usually the idea of smoking something that tastes like vanilla or cherry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I do obviously like vanilla. Yeah, I think I had various vanilla ones. And but then I did get a few in there, like Orlick, Golden Slice were there from the start. But again, it's sweet, isn't it? You know, it's a sweet tobacco.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people had given me certain things, and I think aged Burley Flake one of them, and then various Englishes. But you know, I want kind of doing it. It's a bit strange, really, as well when you think about it, because you think like coming from a cigar that you just go straight to Englishes. Yeah. Because it's kind of that smokiness and that. But it won with me anyway. So I think it's because you're not putting your effort into it, because we were still hooked on cigars. So it was only then later when, I don't know, probably because of it. So this was 2015. Going to the pipe, smoking a little bit, and while we were doing the Cobs and Cubans, we were smoking the cigars. But I was kind of going to the pipe. I was enjoying the pipe more and more. Started off with Cobs. That's why it was called Cobs and Cubans. Yeah. And I modified some of my Cobs. Just started wrapping bits of string around them, bits of copper. Yeah. Painting them, you know, just to make them look a bit different. Yeah. And then I don't know if it was Paul, my mate, or whether it was because I was a joiner when I left school. I just thought, I wonder if I could turn a pipe. And so I think I just looked on eBay probably for like a wood lathe, and there was someone not too far away who had a wood lathe for sale. I went and fetched it, brought it home, didn't have a clue how to work it at all. But, you know, watch the old YouTube videos, you get a rough idea. And I'm quite an hands-on type of guy. And
so you've only really been using a lathe since 2015 after and onwards?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah.
You would think with your pipes. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I got just some pieces of 3x2, just some softwood, and turned a couple of pipes. Like, they look like pipes. You know what I mean? And I shoved a corn cob stem on them from one of the corn cobs and showed my mate Paul and said, look what I've made. And he was like, bloody hell, they look like pipes. And I says, yeah. I says, I need to get, you know, if I can get some briar, I'll have a go at this.
Yeah.
So then it's like, where do you get briar from? It's like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of pipe smokers know, but briar is like the root of a bush that's grown in the Mediterranean. And it's like the burl underneath, it's the root. And then they chop that up, and that's your briar. So it's like, where to get this briar from?
Yeah.
Nowhere in England sells it. There's places in America like Vermont, Freehand and Rawcrafted, but that's like miles away. So I was a member of the UKPTC, UK Pipe Community, tobacco community. And I just asked if anyone knew where he could get it from. And Chris Asquith, the famous pipe maker, got back to me and said, I'll send you some like offcuts.
Right. Stuff he wasn't using.
Yeah. Or what he didn't class as, you know, a good enough grade or whatever.
Yeah.
And he sent it across, and I turned some, and yeah, they were great. I gave one to my mate, I smoked one, and all of a sudden then, some lads from Cigar Group were like, can you make me one? Can you make me one? And they're like, yeah, I'll give it a go.
People see it.
Yeah, and it just went like that. It was mainly just within like that Cigar Group, but you know, I was making like, I maybe got to like 20 pipes maybe through like friends, you know, groups. And I think that's then when I started the Etsy shop and thought, I wonder if anyone else wants to buy them.
Yeah.
And so really,
I assume the first 20 were just kind of given away, or 10 or 20 quid or something like that, or what?
Yeah, they were cheap. Yeah, they were like 30 quid, I think, just to cover costs.
Yeah. And what about the name then? BJV, where did that come from, and what is it? If you could explain to our lovely audience.
So the people that don't follow me on Instagram and Facebook, well, not so much Facebook, but Instagram, my username is Bubba J Vegas. And we spoke about this. What happened is 1 year, well, I got married in Vegas to my lovely wife in 2006, and we went back subsequent years. And one of the years we went with another couple. And while we were in the airport, we just thought it'd be quite fun just to kind of think up some stereotypical American names. Sorry for the American viewers, but Bubba was the one I came up with because of Bubba the golfer and Bubba Gump, and it just seemed like a bit of an American type name. And we were going to Vegas, so I thought Bubba Vegas, and then I bung the J in between because Homer J Simpson has a J in the middle of his name, so it became Bubba J Vegas.
So a homage to
lots it was just a bit of a laugh. And I think when we came back, maybe that's when I joined Instagram or whatever, and they wanted a username, and I thought, why not use that? And then obviously when I got into the pipes, it just shortened down to BJV.
That looks good. I've had a lot of friends ask me. I've obviously been, you know, I'm only familiar with your stuff this last month, 2 months. Obviously, Uncle Phil had been familiar for as long as you've been making pipes, maybe, or but a lot of friends that I've now been showing, I've been saying, is it blowjob videos or what? You know, glad to find out it wasn't any blowjob videos involved. But great name. It kind of has a ring to it. The BJV, you know, it's nice. It looks good as well. Your
yeah, the logo's pretty good. I came up with that when I I had a spell where working in a warehouse, and it was just a boring job, like proper boring. So I was just messing about and thought I'll try and design a logo. So I did just come up with that logo, like, and yeah, it looks pretty good. I like it, isn't it?
Looks good. Looks good. So your pipe smoking history, then, obviously you were a guy who was smoking cigars and then using pipes as kind of a dessert thing afterwards. Then,
yeah.
So when this is kind of this question isn't on the list, but I want to know: was there a period then when you knew that you kind of preferred pipes, or you were leaning more towards pipes, and the channel was still going, and you kind of maybe had to hide that from your what do you call the other guy? I forget
Paul.
His name. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, possibly. If I rewatched them, I'd probably be able to tell. But you can see, like, when you look on the history of the videos, the first ones are just all cigars, then the pipes creep in, and then we started doing just pipe reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Now my mate Paul, he was a pipe smoker as well. In fact, he kind of got me hooked on, especially on the poker shape, which I kind of love doing, and I tend to do a lot, because he had a Joe Case poker, or it might have been a Fat Bastard poker. I can't remember, but they were both big name makers at the time doing pokers. Mm-hmm. When pokers were outraged, and we had like bits of like skull rings on them and all sorts of stuff like that. And my mate just looked so cool with it in his mouth. Mm-hmm. And it gave me that image of, like, I know Popeyes were corn cob, but you know that kind of poker shapes, a bit like that, cartoony. You know what I mean? Like a good old, or a sailor's pipe. Or,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I thought, yeah, that looks cool, rather than sort of like, these type of pipes, which, I love now, but at the time, I was just like pokers and cobs.
Yeah, it looks too much like a pipe for me, but there's something about the poker that's erudite and streamlined and classical, but kind of very useful looking at the same time. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean? It's
yeah. I think that's why I like them, because you just pop them down. You're not looking for a stand and all that sort of carry on.
Yeah.
And they're quite like, they're obviously there's delicate versions of everything, but pretty much on the whole, they're quite a robust pipe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to like be too gentle with them.
Yeah. You've been making, I've seen you recently, you've been making pokers with shotgun shell ferrules or tenons or whatever we want to call them. And those I've heard have become a little more popular than expected. You've been commissioned for a few more, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just finished one up, which was on YouTube channel this morning, and I've got four on the go besides. So it's like, that's a lot for me, because I can make probably 2 pipes a week, because obviously this isn't my full-time job like a lot of pipe makers. It's just like a passion for us, it's just a hobby come passion, where we sell them to kind of cover us costs, buy new machinery, etc., and then buy a bit of backy on top. Mm-hmm. So it's like so to have 4 on the go, I'm like, in fact, I've had a lad inquire by email today, and I've said it's like the missus were taking piss a bit, because I've had to put him on a waiting list. I said I'll get back to you when I've got rid of a few of these in a week or two. Yeah, and talk then. So it's like I've got kind of a waiting list.
This might be the start of it. Then this might be the very first time you've had a waiting list, and maybe you'll never not have one from now. You never know. You'll be quitting the job in no time. Now, you've recently invested in a metal lathe, is it? Or
metalworking lathes, as
well.
So it's it was second hand to me, but it's still, it's still a big investment for something that's just an hobby.
Yeah.
But like with any hobby, whether it's cycling or whatever, people buy titanium gears when they don't particularly need them. So it's kind of like I'm buying something that I actually, do need, and it's going to benefit me. So it's kind of like, it's worth the outlay anyway. But obviously, you know, if it leads on to more orders, etc., that's fantastic. But even if it didn't, it's like a nice thing to have anyway for me. For me to enjoy making pipes, you know, makes it more enjoyable because I can do more stuff that I couldn't do before, you know. So yeah.
And you'll be able to work with, if you ever so desired, you could work with the mortar now, couldn't you? Because they say you need metalworking tools for that shit. Far too strong.
Real tough. Yeah. So it could be a little project. Yeah.
Good, but I know a lot of pipe makers who are like, no, I don't want to ruin my tools. It might even blunt the metalworking tools, so maybe not.
Yeah. It's like it's at the moment I've got what they call carbide tips, which are like they stay pretty sharp with just normal wood, you know, like you don't have to sharpen them, you just replace the tips.
Oh yeah, it's like a wee tiny screw on tip.
But going down to see Chris Kelly, who's Eldritch Pipes, next Saturday, have a little meet up, and he's going to show me how to grind my own, you know, my own tooling. So that'll be cool. So
so you can make your own tools then, or what? What do you?
Yeah. So the actual bit of tool that goes onto the tool post that, you know, actually cuts the wood. It's like you get like all sorts of shapes. You know, you get them to, because obviously it's metalworking. A lot of them are geared towards screw cutting and such like. Yeah. And they're kind of a bit useless to me. And then we kind of have unique bits that benefit our pipe making. But you can't buy, you know, you have to grind them yourself. You get like a blank, like little square rods, and then you grind it to whatever shape you want. And then it'd be a case of sharpening it.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Excellent. So that's a bit about your pipe making history. You mentioned Eldritch Pipes there. Have you been using the rod stock from himself, or because I noticed some of your pipes do have a splash of color here and there that looks like it might be that rod stock, or
it isn't. What I use is polyester, which is it's softer than acrylic.
Right.
Because I can't stand acrylic to work with or in my mouth. Right. I have got a stem on one of my own pipes, and it's like when I get it, it's just like I don't like it. I'll still smoke the pipe, but I don't like the feel of it because it's like super hard in your mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas like ebonite's a soft material, and I think polyester's a touch softer. So I've got some offcuts of Eldritch Pipes that I've been turning because I didn't want to buy the rod stock while I had the old lathe, because you're using hand tools, and it's like literally if you're going a little bit hard with a chisel, it's like you know you're shattering it because you're a bit heavy-handed. Now I've got the metal lathe, it's all a bit more precise. You can just take off a millimeter here, a millimeter there.
Right.
So he set me up to try it, and it is just amazing. It's like it's just the same as ebonite. I believe it's the same density as ebonite, and it's an hand cast resin, but it don't oxidize. So it's like you're getting the beauty of ebonite, that nice soft feel, but you're getting the colours are just so fantastic, but you're getting the no oxidization.
Right, that's
so you're not having to clean them all the time, or sand them down to get rid of that oxidization.
I've definitely had all sorts, like vulcanite, ebonite, lucite even. I've definitely had all sorts of acrylic. I can't say that I've ever had a polyester stem, but I had noticed a pipe that I tried that had what I thought was an acrylic stem was substantially softer, so that may well have been polyester. But it'd be interesting. I will definitely be trying out anyway in the future.
Yeah.
Your favorite shapes then? I was going to ask about not the ones you make, but for your smoking yourself, or maybe they're both similar kind of taste.
I would say they are. It's just a poker, or some sort of sitter, as in like variations of poker. So you've got that cherry wood where it leans slightly and the stem goes up, you know, curves up, or like even like, you know, stubby billiards where the bottom's just been shaved off a bit so it'll sit.
Yeah.
So pretty much then for my own personal smoking style, I've got two. I think I've got two bent pipes. I've got a Meerschaum and I've got a Peterson Rosare. I'm not sure what model number it is, but it's a full bent.
Yeah.
I smoke them, but I don't reach for them. I mean, I quite like this. Has got like it has just got a quarter bend in it, maybe.
Slight bend, yeah.
And it does make a difference, that slight bend. You know, I can feel it. So yeah, I'd say pokers are making pipes. Yeah, pokers are my favourite, really. But yeah, billiards. Obviously, this is one of mine, so that's a Rhodesian. Don't tend to do a lot of bent pipes, just probably because I don't like smoking them. And unless I get commission for one, it's like I'm kind of making what I like. What used to happen before I did have commissions, or before I was selling pipes a bit more regular than I do, they were going on the Etsy shop or like my Facebook page. So I was making pipes that I thought, if that don't sell, I'll have that pipe and I'll be happy with it.
You're wishing it doesn't sell then, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah. So there was sort of like no bent pipes really, because I'm not drawn to them. So I'm like, if this don't sell, I don't really want to be stuck with a bent pipe.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I've always had more of these, you know, straight pipes really.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me see. There was another question that made me think of, but I've completely forgotten. So we'll move on to types of tobacco. I'm going to ask you the famous question, my favorite question, I think. Just the desert island discs you'll be familiar with. 3 tobaccos. If you could start with number 3, number 2, number 1, please. At the moment, I know it changes monthly, maybe.
Well, I could be. I'm going to be pretty simple here, because my favourite maker or favourite blender, I don't know what you call them, tobacco maker, whatever they are, is blender. It's going to be Jermaine's. So
right, unfortunately for you, eh? These days,
yeah. So probably number 3, I'd go with special Latakia Flake.
Delicious.
I had it this morning and it was really good. My palate's definitely changing, because before I liked it, but this morning it was like, oh wow.
Sometimes it's like heaven. The Virginians in it are so sweet. It just rounds off the.
But it could be like you said before. I think initially I have a tendency to rub my flakes out, which again is changing, and possibly over drying my tobacco, which again is changing after a recent video from Charles Dryer Boyo, where we were in Malta and he was smoking some 1792 flake just straight out of the tin. Saying you're going to get more flavour smoking it wet, because people have a tendency to dry it out because it will burn better and it can be a problem keeping it alive. But there's no wrong with, I think there's a bit of a stigma that you shouldn't be relighting your pipe, but I'm not bothered how many times I have to relight it. Probably relit this 3 or 4 times already. We're chatting. It
just annoys me if I know if you're chatting, it's different. It just annoys me if it's too wet and I have to constantly chase it. But if some people, each to their own, you know. And I find, I know what he means with flavor as well, but I think it has to lose a bit of moisture before. That's me. But then Charlie says as well that he's spoken with the heads of Gawith, basically, and email back and forth. And they say, we intend you to smoke it directly from the tin, obviously. And we don't know why people are aging and drying out tobacco. We're kind of laughing at people that drying out tobacco. But
I mean, it definitely ages well. I think, like,
yeah,
but yeah, some of them do need drying, but so with a special Latakia flake, I didn't dry it this morning, and I didn't rub it out because I know you've said before, and it's right. Obviously, what you say is the Latakia in it just kind of crumbles a bit if you start messing with it too much. So I think because I kind of just stuffed it in there, I think I got more of that Latakia, and it don't mean you get more Latakia flake. I think it just gives you that proper Latakia. You know, like I think it just gets lost if you're rubbing it out. So this morning it were like, it were perfect smoke. So that's number 3.
Yep.
Number 2 at the moment would be Rich Start Flake.
More Germains. Nice.
Yeah, just because I haven't had it really aged yet, and I like it. I like it even when it's just kind of 6 months, 1 year old.
Right.
So I can only imagine what it's going to be like. And lucky for me, I managed to pick up 250 grams of it a couple of weeks ago, which has gone in cellar. So I've got a long way, but it's there, ready, aging and ready.
It's one I've been. Again, I've only smoked it fresh, and I really, really couldn't understand. I mean, the flavor, the smell, that typical Germain's kind of farmyard fermentation smell. It's beautiful, and the very faint flavors. Whatever I get, I love, but there's just not enough. So I think it needs 2, 3, whatever amount of years in a jar.
Yeah,
and I've heard that.
I think I might get more from it because I'm kind of new to Burley's, and so maybe I'm picking up on them flavors. But obviously, you've been smoking some strong stuff, haven't you? So it might seem a little bit subdued.
Hopefully not, though. I mean, hopefully it's I mean, I smoke a lot of Kentuckys, but that hopefully doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to pick out.
No, go
But it's the number 1 favorite for our buddy Dale Piper, John.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he really likes the Rich Dark Flake.
Yeah, I think it is for Ross as well, Ichiban Piper. I think he's like number 1 idea. And it seems like on UK Pipe and Tobacco Group, it's like people either love it or they just don't get it. And it's like, there doesn't seem to be an in-between. And I think, I am loving it. I think I'm in that category of loving it. But then number 1 is medium flake. I mean,
all Germains. Are you being sponsored, Chris?
No, but I'm thinking, obviously, I'm not going to be paid for it on Desert Island. I presume there's just a nice supply of it somewhere. But, I mean, to be honest, it's like only a couple of quid more a tin anyway, isn't it? It's like 15 quid as opposed to 17 quid for, Germain. So it's not like...
And it is, it is superior. It is superior. Gawith and Germain's, that's fine. You know what I mean? We're so lucky here in the UK. We are so lucky.
I mean, I think I look at it coming from cigars as a cheap hobby, to be honest. Or cheaper than cigars, because when you look at it, a tin of Germain's at 17 quid, and that's what, 50 grams. So I don't know, say I mean 5 grams a bowl maybe. You've got 10 smokes there for 17 quid, and you're paying 17 quid for 1 cigar. So it's kind of like, it's not even comparable.
Yeah.
I know we were on about this other night about people selling aged tobaccos that they've had sold for like 5-10 years, or they discontinued and they're selling them for $100, and people are like, oh, it's ridiculous. But when you break it down into 10 smokes, let's say $10 a smoke, that's a lot cheaper than cigars.
Yeah.
And if it's something that's so good, it's like, you shouldn't even be really thinking about it. If that's what you want to smoke, it's like,
true.
Yeah, obviously someone's made a lot of money on it and it's a massive market, but these are tobaccos that you can't get no longer. You never will be able to. So if you enjoy it, it's like, go for it.
Absolutely. Agree with you. On the Germains, have you ever had the opportunity to try the, what's the American Penzance or whoever makes version of RDF? What do you call it? The Stonehaven? Or?
Yeah, the Stonehaven, isn't it?
Have you ever tried that?
I haven't had any esoterica blends. Never, not one. Never been able to get hold of them.
Me neither, except Sean Victorian Piper very kindly sent me a couple of bowls of worth of Penzance. As I was saying, I'd never tried it, so I've still got that. I'm waiting for the right moment to review it. So
right, Penzance has an equivalent, I think, doesn't it, in tobacco world over here?
It's special Latakia Flake, I think, is it?
Oh, right. No, I'm not sure.
I could be wrong. I'm not too sure.
But it's like with the RDF, some people just say it's pretty much the same thing now. My palate ain't fantastic. You know, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I can tell differences between, you know, a Virginia to another Virginia, as in, you know, one might be a bit sweeter or one's a bit, you know, if it's stoved, it's a bit smokier or whatever. But if I did a blind test on Stonehaven and RDF, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So it's like it'd be nice to have some, but I are chasing it like the unicorn chasers.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that either. No. Scalpers are bastards, eh? You know, you get some people buying 500 bags of it and then selling it on for, and people are buying it, supply and demand. You know, $1,000 for 50 grams of Penzance. Yeah, sure. Horrible. Well, that's the Desert Island discs. Let's see. Types of pipe, favorite tobacco pipe free. Lucky we are, tattoos and training. Just about your old channel then, first of all, Cobs and Cubans. Is there any talk of a reunion? Was it about, how long ago's the last video? 5 years?
Yeah, it could be. Not sure without looking, but yeah, it probably will be. We did, I think we were away for a year. And I think because people within cigar groups or maybe pipe groups were saying, you should do some, maybe I put some up like, oh, do you remember this or whatever? And they were like, yeah, you should do another one. And we did a reunion video.
Yeah.
And we just were like, hey, this is shocking. But I don't know, it's a funny thing, YouTube, isn't it? Because people will watch anything. You know, I've started up again just recently, as you know, and it's like I put it off for quite a while because I'm like, I don't feel like I've got anything interesting to say, but then I've started doing it and I've got subscribers, I've got people leaving lovely comments, likes and that. So people, you know, people obviously want to see it, but while you're doing it, you kind of like, people really want to see me doing this. So I think that's what it was with Cobs and Cubans. We were like, you know, we weren't master reviewers or anything. We were just like, just having a bit of fun, but we felt like it were a bit repetitive. Yet people still wanted to see it, so maybe we should have carried on. I don't know, but we weren't enjoying it, I don't think. So we packed it in. So he's got a young family now, my mate, and he's got a motorbike.
Right. So
like you're gonna have very well, you have got one, but you'll be riding it very soon, hopefully. But so with it being summer now, he's off on bike all the time because you've got to make most of the weather in the UK.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So maybe winter he'll make some guest appearances on the new channel. But yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky because I've got a wife she makes cakes, like celebration cakes, birthday cakes, and she's like fully booked up for the next few years, really successful business, working from home. So I never see her really anyway, because she has a passion for that. And now I've got the passion for pipe making back. I'm down here all the time. and under house all the time making pipes.
She's not shouting at you for being away from her, and yeah, that's perfect then.
No, whereas my mate, obviously, he's got a young family, and you know, I can't just expect him to be nipping around here for a smoke every time I want to do a video or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so I am in a very lucky position.
The cake business, then, she doesn't bake in the house, I assume. It's another premises. Oh, does she?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cakes everywhere. It's
That's
like
mad.
Yeah, the temptation's ridiculous. Like,
I was gonna say, how do you?
Yeah, when we first started off, she used to she didn't have it nailed down like with anything. And say someone had ordered, say 12, she'd be making a batch of 15. So
a baker's dozen.
Yeah, so there'd be like 3 left over here, you know, 2 there, and I'd be eating them. And then it's kind of like, yeah, that's enough sort of like cupcakes for now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it ain't as bad now, and she doesn't have, you know, she's nailed it down, so there ain't a lot of like leftovers anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not a pick of fat on you, if you don't mind me saying, and you're built like a fucking tank. So no cakes these days.
No.
So I take it you train at least 3 times a week then, or something, to be in the shape that you're in.
Yeah. It's just something I've done all my life, really, ever since I was a kid. From farming background, so always been active, always been into weights, and just that consistency throughout my life has obviously led me to be, you know, in good shape now. So it's like we were on about it the other night. I've done the bulking, I've done the cutting, the bodybuilder type style stuff, and it's like getting a bit long in tooth for it now. So we just try and keep in a decent shape now.
It's all about maintenance now, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, maintenance and cupcake avoidance, or massive cake avoidance.
Yeah. To be fair, my downfall's porridge.
Yeah, you said the other night, it was about tea time. You said, "Oh, I'm just finishing my porridge." It was like fucking 6 o'clock. What are you doing? So I'll ask you now. Then you love porridge.
But that one, it's like I'll have my tea, and then like an hour later, I'll have like a bowl of porridge, and it's just like, oh, it's just the best. It's just like bowl of porridge in the morning, bowl of porridge on the night. It's like if I could only ever eat one food again, bowl of porridge, some blueberries in it, have a bit of protein powder in it, you know, so it's like chocolate flavor.
Nice.
And it's just like, it's
I was envisaging the Scottish way, you know, the pinch of salt.
Oh, no.
Like gruel, you know. But no, blueberries and chocolate flavored protein powder sounds good. Yeah. Sounds like something I could get into. Very nice. And another personal question, and sorry to give you all these personal questions.
It's fine.
Is there anywhere left on you for a tattoo apart from your face and your balls?
Yeah, probably. That's probably about it, to be fair. All my back's done, my chest's done, and I've got my knees done, which were painful. I've got 2 spiders' webs on each knee.
Right.
Man, that were like awful. But what happened, so I've got my hands done, I've got my neck done here, which they were fairly recent additions, really, within the last 3 years. When I left school, I was a joiner, and then we had a bad recession at end of 80s, and that firm went under, and I was like halfway through an apprenticeship. No one wanted to take an apprentice on, so I was struggling for a job. So I joined the army. I went into the parachute regiment. Went in there, and everyone just gets tattoos.
Yeah. I remember so they can identify your corpse, isn't it? That's what they say. To be crude, sorry, folks. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember getting that first tattoo and ringing me dad up and saying I've had a tattoo done, and like my dad were quite strict when we were young, and I just thought I have to tell him because I can't hide it. So I rang him up and said, I've had a tattoo done. And he said, where? I said, oh, I've had a tiger on my back. And he went, oh, is it good? And I went, yeah. So that was kind of like a green light. And I went out next day and got an eagle on my arm.
Right. Fuck.
So and then I left army, and I've had various jobs. I've worked in pubs, run pubs, warehousing, landscaping, all sorts really. And so I've just had tattoos as I went along. So that were like in my 20s, and then I don't think I had a tattoo then until about 2 years ago. And a lad who is on Instagram as Dylan Draws, and he's an amazing artist. Like, he does a lot of comic book stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And he got an apprenticeship at a tattooist, and just took to it like duck to water, just like really good. So I think he said, I'd said to him, you can just rework some of my old stuff because it all faded out and wasn't bothered about it. I said, just rework it, just go over it, it's practice for you. And so he did, and then he got like really good. And I said, right, well, you can do my hands, you can do my neck, just my knees. And it was just like a bit of a midlife crisis, I think. Just got back into it again and went a bit nuts with it. But
looks good.
Yeah, well, it's like I haven't had one now for maybe a year, before lockdown. And so it's like a year and a half in it, and you kind of like, you get out of it again, and all I can think about is that pain. Yeah, and it's like I don't want to start up again. It's like it hurts. Of course, it hurts. Someone's jabbing a needle in you. People go, it don't hurt, and it's like, oh, mine hurt me.
Yeah, it absolutely hurts, and anyone who says it doesn't can fuck off. I know this crazy guy, a friend of mine. And he's so covered that he has to remove things, and then so he's got like laser removal of his whole back. He's going through a process of just redoing his whole back
so he can start again.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd love to like have a blank canvas and start again, because there's stuff I had back then. Obviously, I've been out in sun a lot, and it fades, and I haven't looked after it, and you can't tell what half that stuff is anymore. But I ain't that bothered. It'd be nice to have a blank canvas again and start again, but it's like it's just part of me now. I don't even notice. My wife doesn't notice. But funny enough, when we've been to Vegas, it's like being a celebrity or something. Literally, our lass gets a bit pissed off with it because people are stopping you all the time in lift or whatever and going, "Oh man, let's have a look at your tattoos. They look awesome," and stuff like that. But over here, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Now you can start lasering off any bits, but apparently that's even more painful than the actual tattoo.
Yeah, I've heard it's like someone splattering chip fat over you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it does.
Have you had any interest, or have you made any tampers before, or any other woodworking things like that going on?
Yeah, I had a spell actually. When I first started up, I've got one here. Made some. There were a guy who used to do it on Instagram. I can't remember. I think he was called Roughworks, and he used to make tampers that looked like cigars. So I had a spell where I made these. Those are
really nice.
Yeah, and it just had a pick in it, and then it had like a little couple of spikes to put your cigar on when you were nubbing it.
Oh yeah.
And so I sold a few of them when I first started, and just recently, when I've been doing the shotgun poker, I've been sort of like doing the matching tamper with it, with like a bullet casing on the bottom.
Okay, yeah.
And then just like a bit of wood carving on the top.
Yeah. And
it kind of matches, whatever the stem is. I put a bit of the stem on as a cap. So it kind of matches the pipe, and they seem quite popular. So if someone sort of like says, I want to commission a shotgun poker off you, I'm like, do you want the matching tamper? And pretty much most of them do.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's something a little bit, gives me a little bit more, like I say, it's a bit more carving that than just, doing the pipe. The pipe's more, as a pipe maker, obviously you're shaping it, but the thing you've got to get right is like the engineering, the draft hole has to be right, and into the mouthpiece. So obviously, if people don't know and they're just buying factory pipes, a factory pipe will be like say maybe 4 mil at the draft hole in your bowl, and it'll probably just run through to the same at your mouthpiece. But when an artisan handmade pipe maker does it, we'll drill 4 mil to your mortise here where your tenon goes in, and then all the work happens in the stem because that's tapered down. From your 4 mil, you'll go down to 2 mil. So it's a nice taper, and you're funneling that smoke down. And then at the end where the button is, we go in there and we float it, what they call floating. And so you're making a wider button here where it widens out so that as that air gets funneled down to the smaller bit, that's 2 mil from the 4 mil, and then it comes through that 2 mil and it funnels out, so you get a nice wide
displacement.
Displacement. And that's something that doesn't happen with factory pipes. If you look down end of a factory pipe, you might possibly get a tiny bit of floating, but not much. But the majority will just be an hole through to the end. So it's just coming out. And it might not sound like much, but it's definitely a difference in engineering. Otherwise we wouldn't go to effort, because that just doing that button on end there, that slot, can take an hour because you've got to drill it, you've got to float it, and then you've got to sand inside there with files. And then once the files have come out, you've got to sand it down so there's no sort of like resistance. There's a lot of work on something that people just shove in the mouth and probably don't even think about. But to us, that's pipe making.
I was going to ask you how wide you drill the draft hole. Is it usually 4 mil for you then?
Yeah, I do 4 mil because a lot of mine are 9 millimeter pipes anyway. So that 4 mil's a nice, it's a nice wide draft hole to get enough air through that filter. But I personally think that 4 mil anyway, even if you don't have a filter in, by the time it's funneled down to that 2, it's like you gain that resistance anyway down to the 2. I think a lot might do it at 3.5 mil, so it's not a massive difference anyway.
I think the more the better. Definitely.
You don't want to be sort of like really having to pull on it, do you? It's nice because you can feel like you're sipping more if you've got plenty of smoke there. Yeah,
true. Your prices then amazingly low. I can only imagine. I mean, I shouldn't want to tempt fate, but the way things are going and the standard of your pipes are absolutely amazing, if you don't mind me saying. So you're talking about roughly 100, was it 120 for a standard?
Between 110 to maybe 130, 140 possibly tops, but that's when they've got the tamper with them.
I was going to ask, how much is it with a matching tamper? 140 or so?
Yeah, so 130, 140 with a matching tamper, and that's delivered in the UK as well. So I'm paying postage out of that.
Oh, so you're right. That's including postage. That's amazing. That's amazing.
So, basically, it's I just want to be covering cost of materials. I mean, Briar's not particularly cheap these days. You're paying for a nice spot, you'll be paying £20 to £30. So it's a decent amount, and then you've got the rod. Then you've got the bit of delving tenon, and then you've got all the stuff that people forget about, like sandpaper, files wear out, so you got to get more files, the buffing compounds, the wax, the stains, so you're constantly buying something. So as long as you get money for that, cover the cost of that, and then you've got machinery to buy, like obviously I've just bought that new lathe, which, you're trying to recuperate some costs. And then it probably leaves me a little bit more for some backy orders, which to me then I'm like a self-funding hobby. I'm not wanting to be making money so that I can do this full time, because I've got a full-time job. And if I wanted, if I were doing that to do it full time, you'd have to be hiking your prices up to £200, rushing pipes through, because you'd be like, I've got to sell whatever, 4 or 5 pipes this week to pay bills, and if I don't, who's going to pay bills? And there's that pressure on then. And I just love it. I love making the pipes. The best thing, which is nice down on YouTube, because like Kev the Granite City Piper, Uncle Phil have both had unboxings on YouTube, and to see someone's face when they see that pipe for the first time, and they're like open it and they're looking it over, and you can see that they're happy. You're like, I'm ecstatic, you know, because sometimes you sell them on Etsy and they might go to America just through Etsy, and you never hear anything. You don't get a, oh, I love your pipe or anything. You just wondered, did they like it, you know, or didn't they like it, or
no feedback from America.
No feedback. Yeah. So to get these unboxings, or, you know, some people will message or repeat customers, like at the moment, one of the commissions is for a guy who bought a pipe a couple of weeks ago off of Etsy, a UK guy, and he's commissioned a poker to match his billiard.
Okay.
Another one is a guy who had my 10th ever pipe off me way back when. And obviously Uncle Phil's bought another one. So when you get repeat custom, you know you're doing something right then.
Absolutely. And that pipe, the first pipe Uncle Phil got, have you done that canted egg shape? It's something really beautiful, and the way your take on that canted egg, the bent egg with the canted lip, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that faux ivory just sets the whole thing off, and that red stain, beautiful. Like, your pipes are outstanding, mate. Absolutely
it's just as you probably, you've just picked up on there. For me, when I'm making a pipe, I want it just to be a little bit different from a factory pipe. You know, the typical brown, black, tan, whatever coloured bowl with a black stem. It's like, I like a bit of colour on my pipes, or a bit of an accent, or something that just makes it feel like you have got an handmade pipe, and you're not going to see that pipe in the tobacconist on the shelf. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
it's a bit of personalised, or it's a bit of character and style. It has a little something.
That's a fantastic, if someone gets in touch with me about a commission, say for a shotgun poker, it's they'll message me and say, can you do one? I'm like, yeah, I've seen this one, right? And then I'll say, well, give us a bell, and we can chat about it. And then they'll ring up and I'll be like, well, what colour stem do you want? What stain do you want? What finish do you want? Do you want a filter? Do you not want a filter? You know, and all these little things I enjoy talking to the customer. And then you might get a little bit of free rein, like the one I put up today. He said he wanted a stubby shotgun poker, a smaller bowl because he has short smokes. He wanted it rusticated, and he wanted black and red. So we talked through it. I suggested the red Cumberland stem because it's quite classy, but you've got that red. And then as I was actually making it, I thought this piece of wood has got a really nice bit of grain on it. So I think I rang him up, I messaged him on Facebook. I said, there's some really nice grain on this. Do you want to semi-rusticate it so we can have a bit of rustication, but where the grain's really good, you can see the grain. So you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. So that was something that came along on the way. And then he wanted it black, but because the stain was so good, I didn't really want to just cover it with, because the grain was so good, I didn't want to cover it with a black. So I suggested having a red tint to it to match the stem. And so they were like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So did it. And when I sent him pictures, he was just like, you've absolutely nailed it.
Excellent.
And the way he was talking, I was just like ecstatic. I was excited with a pipe anyway, but then when the customer is, it's like, do you know what I mean? And I've just put that up on Instagram and people are commenting on it saying, wow, love that. And it's just, that's what makes it. Not that I've been paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's the feedback.
Well, you know what that says to me? It says that you're passionate about what you do. And I mean, obviously speaking to you, and I've been talking to you for a couple of nights now on WhatsApp and Zooms and stuff. You are obviously passionate about what you do. And that's what people need. And people realize that as soon as they get in touch with somebody who is passionate about the pipes that they're making, they'll know. Absolutely. And for you to be phoning people and making them part of the process as well, that's brilliant.
Yeah, well, and funny enough, I've just had a message tonight from a guy who's on YouTube. I think he's Shearer Smokes, and he says, well, what happened is I'll give the person the option as well. I said, do you want to just see it when it's finished, or do you want me to send you some progress pics of when it's on lathe in its raw state before it's had anything done with the piece of wood? And you know, and he's like, yeah. And so I've got like WhatsApp, so I've got like four people on go on WhatsApp, and every time I'm doing a certain thing, I'm like taking a picture, sending them a picture, and they're like, oh man, that looks ace, and they're getting to see how it's made as well. Mm-hmm. So they feel part of the process. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I think like this Sheila Smokes is gonna get all the pictures together, save them, and then at the end put them together. And I think he's going to upload it to his channel. But he says it makes me feel like part of the process, because I'm seeing as you're going along what's happening. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not like it's a big secret. I mean, I don't want to, you know, it's not like I don't want to show the customer how it's done, because it's their pipe. Of course I want to see how it's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't know if pipe makers do that or not, but it's something I do. It's like, just probably because I'm passionate about it. I'm wanting the customer to be passionate about it as well. Yeah, you want to share the passion and get them excited, get them feeling like that. I mean, some people just want that. Some people aren't bothered, and they're just like, oh no, I just want to see it, you know, when I unbox it. Yeah, and that's equally as good as well. So yeah, it's fair enough. I mean? No, it's great what you're doing, involving the customer in the end process as well. It's really fantastic, and for them to have so many choices as well. What was the rainbow colored kind of ferrule you had on one recently? Yeah, it's called a rainbow. That was lovely. Yeah, it was nice. That went to Kev the Granite City Piper as well. He literally bought the poker on the Friday, and I sent it him, and I think he got it. Oh, he messaged me Friday night. I sent it Saturday. He got it Monday, and then he saw that. I think it was Monday night. I think it Monday night or Tuesday. He says, "Have you still got the Rainbow Rhodesian?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "I'll have it." So I was like, "Oh, perfect timing, man. Take it, Mrs. to the dentist. I'll drop it off on way." So he had that next day as well. But yeah, it was like what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's a bit like plywood sheets that have all been stained and then compressed together. And so when you look at it in like, it comes in like a square rod form. Okay. It just looks like layers of colours. Yeah. But then as you start turning it, it's the cross sections. Yeah, you get the cross section of it. And then once it's polished up, it looks, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. But it's quite, you know, it's quite out there. I understand that not everyone, some people are quite conservative with the pipes, but I think it's great. Yeah. Because it's not like the whole pipe or the whole stem, even. It was just an accent, a touch, a splash of color, you know. And no, really, really beautiful. You see, I suppose that's the thing. It's like I've said, just trying to get my pipes. I personally just like something a little bit different about them, because there's an awful lot of us pipe makers out there. Besides the factories, there's a lot of, really a lot of good pipe makers. So if you want a traditional looking pipe, you'll find it. And, there's plenty of choice. So, and if you want something a little bit different, then you go to the people that are doing something a little bit different. So exactly. There's room for everyone, man. Yeah. The other thing as well I wanted to ask about was like, whatever the name was, it was like the stem or the mouthpiece, and it had like a white it looked like it was clipped onto a black piece. It was like a double binding. Yeah, what's it called? Split stem. Yeah, how do you explain that process? Because that looked beautiful as well. And yeah, so what you're kind of doing is you're getting two rods together. So say for simple sake is black and white. Yeah. You get the black rod, and at the end you'll cut like a tenon on that. And then you'll cut an hole into the white rod. So the black rod goes inside the white rod, and then the outside meet up. So from the outside, you'll just have a line where the white is onto the black. But it all gets glued together. But when you start filing down and you do sort of like a saddle bit where you get that shoulder, as you're sanding down, then it reveals more of the black underneath and takes away some of the white, so that you end up with like a curved bit in the middle with the two slight shoulders of the different colours. And it does, like you said, looks like you've just shoved two pieces together. But the where the mouthpiece is actually running through to the tenon that goes into the pipe.
Right, so it's all the way along underneath.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is pretty cool. When I first started pipe making in 2015, it were like a bit of a, maybe, I don't know if it had been around before that, but there were a lot of pipe makers doing it.
Right.
And so I think I kind of worked out through trial and error, because no one was sharing how it were done. Worked out how you do it and did it. And then obviously I went away from pipe making for a bit. And when I came back, because it was kind of like the last thing I was doing, I was like, right, I'll do one of them because I remember how to do that.
Yeah.
And that's waiting for Uncle Phil now, that pipe. So
right. Perfect. And you had a good few on their way to Asia somewhere. Was it China or Japan or where? Singapore, right?
Yeah.
Was that off your Etsy, or where did they find you?
Yeah, it was from Etsy, but the guys are on Instagram.
Right.
And there's quite a few Singapore guys on Instagram, and it's a well-renowned club in Singapore, the Singapore Pipe Club. Right. And they have some real, it's quite an honor for this guy to buy my pipes, because that club is, they have a lot of iron pipe, Castellos and such like.
Right.
And he's had, before these two, he had another pipe off me. He had the first pipe I made when I came, or the second pipe when I came back. I made a poker with quite an heavy rustication on it. And he bought that, and then obviously bought another two off me. So
yeah.
They're just waiting to be shipped out, because I believe they're still in lockdown, and for some reason it affects their post.
Yeah.
So they're just waiting to go out to be shipped out.
Well, I mean, for anyone who has seen your pipes, either people who are purchasing your pipes are purchasing more than one. Obviously, it's a good sign. And then you've got foreign customers. I urge everyone, go and take a look. You'll find in the bucket of this video all the links to Chris's Etsy, Instagram, and everything else I can find on him where he's selling his pipes. Take a look, see for yourself, have a good close-up inspection. The lines are beautiful, and the little accents of color, like I've said, there's just something very characterful about your pipes, and they're well made. They're beautiful pipes. So listen, the final question I'm going to ask you,
okay,
it's something I've been asking quite a lot of people, and it's just, would you have any advice for new beginning pipe smokers, or new beginning people who are looking at their first pipe to buy maybe, or what would you ask them to look out for, or what would you advise them?
I would say, don't start with a corn cob.
Good.
even though I did.
Yes, me too, yeah. And that's how you know it's wrong.
The problem is the way they're engineered, the draft hole is really big. And I know we were on about earlier about having a bigger draft hole to let the smoke through, but there's no engineering in the stem itself. It's just a factory stem.
Yeah.
So they smoke quite fast, which obviously if you're a new pipe smoker, you know what we all do, we all chug like idiots.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's so open as well, it's just coming through, and then everyone ends up with tongue bite. Yeah. And you get put off, and it's just like, and the other thing is the shank goes through into the bowl, doesn't it? And yes, you can see it at the bottom. So if you
lovely
smoke down to the bottom, it starts burning that wood. So then you get that horrible taste, and it's like, why does this tobacco taste so bad?
Yeah.
So until you're an experienced pipe smoker, it's like you don't really know how to handle a cob. Even though they're so cheap, and a lot of people say, start with a cob because they don't cost anything. They're right, but I don't think it's giving you that entry into pipe smoking. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't like this because I'm getting tongue bite, and you know, the flavors aren't there. So I'd say get like I mean, even Dale Piper did a little bit on this, and he said not to even get basket pipes, because there's a reason the basket pipes, they might have been drilled a bit wrong, or the dryer might be a bit poor. Yeah. So even they're not the best choice. I'd say just go for a nice factory pipe, any, you know, like a Peterson or something like that, because you know that the a good decent factory pipe, and you're going to be paying maybe 60, 70 quid entry level, and then start looking at like us newer pipe makers that have been doing it a while and have a look to see if they've been sold. Message them, talk to them, and if it's like me, I'll get back to you and talk to you about it and talk you through whether you want to filter, whether you don't want to filter, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't jump into buying a £200 pipe because, you know, because it looks good and it says it's an artisan pipe maker. There's a lot of artisan pipe makers like me who are doing good pipes at a lot, you know, a lot lower cost.
Yeah.
So start with a factory pipe, a Peterson or a Rattray or anything like that. So yeah, there's a little bit of outlay, but like a lot of people are coming from cigars, etc. So it's only like 50, 60 quid. It's only like 3 cigars.
Yeah.
You know, exactly, and then with your tobacco, I'd say try and stay clear of aromatics because they are going to burn a bit hotter. Yeah, they taste a little bit like sweet and that, but if you get a good Virginia, you'll get that sweetness. I mean, again, people say, well, Virginias burn hot. So I don't know. If you sort of like going for just good plain Virginias, like where you can't really get all it golden slice, can you? But there's plenty out there. Talk to your local tobacconist, or if it's an online tobacconist, they've all got a phone number.
Yeah.
And ring them up, say you're a new pipe smoker. What sort of tobacco do you suggest? I don't really want an aromatic. I want to, you know, I want to start as a mean to go on. Yeah. And get a mild English or whatever. Yeah. So sample packs, we talked about this. You can get 10 gram packs, you know, just spend a bit of money, get a bit of a.
What is it? Which one is it? Is it GQ or Black Swan Shop? They have like a English sample pack, or they have a Virginia sample pack where they give you like 10 grams.
I think GQ might. I know Smoke
King
GQ.
Do. Right, yeah.
Smoke King Do as well.
Yeah, great advice, solid advice. Yeah. I agree, because you can get those Rattray's good deal pipes for whatever, 40 quid or whatever. And the Vaughan basic range, those German pipes, they're on GQ or even GQ have their own pipes, which I think they're drilled fine, you know, they look fine. For 30 quid, you get a decent pipe for between 30 and 50 quid. Like,
just don't be scared to ask, because your tobacconist, if you've got a local one, fantastic. If you haven't, all these online ones that we just mentioned, GQ, My Smoking Shop, Smoke King, Black Swan, they're all really nice guys. I mean, you know, we've all got to be on everyone's side because, you know, the government's trying to shut us down and wanting to put taxes on everything, and you know, we're all getting a bit harder to get stuff. So everyone's trying to help everyone to keep this pastime alive, and everyone's very helpful. So, you know, just talk to people. Don't be scared of.
Just email one of us as well. We'll
give
you advice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, listen, Chris, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure talking to us. Glenn Drop there would say, the Irish letterman.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I've said before, it's a great channel. I like it because as I've come on, I felt very relaxed, and that's the vibe you give. It's just two people chatting about something they love, and you know, it's not like an instructional video or a review video. It's just hopefully people's picked up a little bit of something about pipe making. And you know, just a nice chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll end the recording here. Thank you, folks.